Good Thursday evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in tonight to the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks. We'll geek out to the forecast for the next few days. We'll talk about the longer range in this video as well. I wanted to start out this evening with a look at the cloud cover history over the last couple of weeks, and no surprise, the last couple of weeks have been fairly overcast, much like this afternoon was. It's kind of rare, of course, to get appreciable amounts of sunshine as you get into the second half of November, into December, and into January as well. It is our cloudiest time of the year, November through February and early March. And we have our proximity to the Great Lakes partially to blame for this. The proximity to those lakes provides an abundant moisture source in the low levels of the atmosphere for rising air to condense into clouds and some precipitation, and that's something we see quite a bit of in the winter season around northeast Ohio and western PA. All right, it's also dark outside because, well, it's December and our sunsets are very early, 4:54 this evening, and we'll reach the bottom of the curve sunset-wise this weekend through next week with our sunset at 4:53 p.m. from Saturday through the 10th would be, next Thursday. And then the day after Christmas, we're back at 5 p.m., and sunsets will be after 5:30 p.m., by January 25th. Not great around here, but hey, it could be worse. Up in Caribou, Maine, far northern Maine, Eastern Time Zone, 3:43 p.m. is the sunset here in early December. And then out towards the west coast, the Mountain Time Zone clips western parts of Washington, northern Idaho, and they have some very early sunsets on the eastern fringes, or the western fringes, I should say, of the Western Time Zone, 3:57 p.m. I said that backwards. They're in the Mountain Time Zone, the western fringes of the Mountain Time Zone, 3:57 p.m. in Spokane, Washington. All right, as far as the weather goes, it clouded up this afternoon, but moisture is staying to our south. That's going to be the case over the next 24 hours, and there's not much Arctic air at all on the playing field across the lower 48 states this evening. All of this is pretty standard stuff for early parts of December. That plume of moisture I've been talking about over the last couple of days, it might be a close call. The model trends over the last 24 hours have definitely been shifting this more to the south, so it'll probably rain a little bit tomorrow afternoon in Morgantown, maybe as far north as Pittsburgh, but around here, after some sunny intervals around midday, clouds should win the battle again before the afternoon is through. All right, underneath a thick deck of clouds this weekend, occasionally I think there'll be a sprinkle or a flurry passing by from time to time. Most of the time this weekend it's just going to be cloudy and kind of gloomy outside, but occasionally a spritz, a sprinkle, or a flurry. Meantime, the eastern seaboard dealing with a pretty sizable system that will bring accumulating snow to many places. Kind of a tough forecast, tough call as to where exactly the heaviest accumulations will be, but it'll be somewhere in eastern New England. They'll get socked with a pretty heavy dose of snow this weekend. As we take a look at the longer range, the models have really been struggling of late, figuring out the Pacific pattern, and as a result, downstream of that, what happens in North America as we head into mid-December. If you've been watching Weather Geeks lately, I've been talking about how it looks pretty chilly for a lot of December compared to the average. Now, some of those chillier trends are starting to reverse. Some of the medium-range modeling is showing warmer tendencies in the kind of the 10 to 20-day period. The models, again, are kind of struggling to figure out what is going on in the Pacific. And so there's been some flip-flopping. Generally speaking, though, when you look at the jet stream here over the next couple of weeks, or the next 10 days anyway, it'll still feature, I think, a pretty big ridge in the west and trough in the east, preventing any sort of abnormal warmth from coming east. But that being said, it also does not look especially cold compared to average as we go into next week, and maybe not as cold as it looked a couple of days ago. And I don't see a large-scale pattern change on any of the modeling right now through the next 10 days. What happens beyond that, mere speculation at this point. Again, low confidence forecast, but at least through the end of next week into next weekend, the trends would suggest that it's kind of a nondescript pattern overall with a lack of abnormal warmth, but also really no Arctic air getting into this pattern as we head through the next week to 10 days. And I think that as far as the sensible weather is concerned, that'll mean a lot of days with highs in the upper 30s and 40s, which is pretty much par for the course in December. And expect probably more days like today where clouds win the battle. After all, we live where we live, and it is that time of the year. Thank you for watching Weather for Weather Geeks tonight and this week, and what has been a pretty busy week. I'm off tomorrow, but I'll see you back here for more geeky fun on Monday.